Okay, welcome to another edition of the Above the Bridge podcast. I'm your host, Thaddeus Park. First thing I want to do is shout out our sponsors. Shout out to Defend Hawaii. Go check them out at Windward Mall. They have a store called No One. Also, their website, defendhawaii.com. They have some new stuff coming out for summer. Check them out, defendhawaii.com. When you use promo code ATBPOD upon checkout, you'll receive 15% off your entire purchase order. Go check them out. Next, we have IREP Detail Supply, and it's a all-in-one place to get anything you need to detail your car, truck, van, whatever. They have a store in Temple Valley Shopping Center. Go check them out on the internet, irepdetailsupply.com. Use promo code ATBPOD upon checkout. You'll receive 15% off your entire purchase order. Next, we have Hawaii Candy Factory, and their snacks are everywhere. You see them, especially on the internet. They have those candies called noms, a bunch of gushers, lihimui gummies, and it's a whole bunch of different crazy snacks. Go check them out, hawaiicandyfactory.com, promo code ATBPOD upon checkout, 10% off your entire purchase order. Last but not least, we have our medicinal mushroom company. It's a locally based medicinal mushroom company here in Hawaii. They grow all their own mushrooms. They do everything in-house. They have four different mushrooms right now. They have red reishi, chaga, turkey tail, and lion's mane. And if you don't know what medical properties each one of these mushrooms do, go to medmushroomhigh.com. They have all the information you need. They extract from all those mushrooms and they have it in these tinctures. I take them all religiously every single morning, and then I take the red reishi at night to help me sleep. But go check them out, medmushroomhigh.com, promo code ATBPOD upon checkout, all capital letters, and you'll receive 45% off your first purchase of a tincture of whatever mushroom you want. Go check them out. Aloha. Okay, welcome to another edition of the Above the Bridge podcast. This week, my guest is been a huge inspiration, and I follow him on Instagram, and watching his videos hit home, and he done a lot of cool things in the last few years. Chad Starr, what's up, man?
Uh,
How you feeling, bro? I know you are a little bit bust up.
yeah, not feeling great, but having some having some issues. Maybe had some issues before the walk started, and then actually, I believe I have two fractured tibias. So, yeah. So, and that I believe that happened like the fifth day of the walk. So then I walked
Wow,
another 40 miles after that. So
that's
didn't
crazy.
yeah, it didn't help much. So.
Well, before we get into that, I just wanted to know, well, this is May, and it's mental health month, and you've been an advocate for helping out with mental health month. You've been doing the perimeter walks and stuff. Can you kind of talk to me about how it got started? And I want to know about the physical aspect of it also, man. It seems I wouldn't even want to drive the perimeter.
Yeah, so I started in 2022, I believe. Um, and so I moved here with my family. My ex is from here. Um, so we had been visiting every year for, I don't know, maybe 7 years straight. And it just always felt like home to me. I grew up in Oklahoma and
Oh,
Arkansas.
wow.
So it was a big change, right? I
Yeah.
mean, no water other than lakes, no ocean for sure. So, um, but yeah, we moved here, and I had so I'll go back just a little bit. I lost my daughter Sienna. in 2019 to suicide. She was 12 years old. So um, since that moment, I I've always tried to be an advocate for youth mental health, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to make an impact, and try to save as many children as possible and prevent parents from having to go through this hell that that I've been going through and will continue to go through for the rest of my life. So when we moved here, I didn't have any friends, um, and I had lots of friends in Arkansas where we were living, and so I was kind of just bored, really. I mean, I had been homeschooling my daughter Isabella, and she decided she wanted to go back to school, so I was kind of just bored sitting at home trying to do the stay-at-home dad thing, cooking, cleaning, just trying to keep the house organized. And so then I one day I woke up and I thought, okay, I need purpose. I need to do something. I want to help people. Um, so I've been asked this question a lot. I don't remember exactly what made me think I'll just walk around the perimeter. Um, oh, sorry, I'm not
No
really sure
worries.
what um how that transpired, but I just knew I wanted to do something and I wanted to challenge myself. And um so I think I started Googling um just ways to raise awareness. I believe that's kind of what I had done. And I really was in a way I was trying to figure out how to grieve still yet.
Yeah.
Um it's been, I think, around 3 years or so since I had lost Sienna, and I still, I've kind of realized, like, I feel like the whole grieving process is really just a lifelong thing. For me, it seems that way. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started. I wanted to help people, I wanted to help myself, and I wanted to honor Sienna. So that's kind of where this whole idea came from of walking the perimeter. And I remember looking it up and thinking, oh, it's not that bad. I was a bit wrong. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where it all came from, was, just wanting to help people.
Yeah. I think the first time I ever heard about who you were and your cause was on the news, and I seen a clip, and I was thinking, wow, that's heavy. Being I have a daughter, I can't even imagine what you're going through, and to see you being an advocate and doing something to help prevent it. But it was just a crazy thought in my head, like, oh, this guy's walking around the perimeter like that.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't even know you could walk around the perimeter.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
how did you even, like, did you train for it, or like, for one, how many miles is the perimeter?
So I've kind of, um, when I first did it, it was 131.7,
Okay.
and each year I kind of add a little more to it. So the first year 131.7. This last time I just completed it a couple weeks ago was ended up being 143 miles. So yeah, I do it over 7 days. I try to
Okay.
walk at least about 20 miles a day. Um, yeah, so, and there's still times I'm like, I, I mean, it's kind of, becoming a routine. I kind of have it better figured out now, but so that's where I kind of have the goal of 20 miles a day. And there's still times where I think, okay, I've got to wake up tomorrow and I'm probably going to be walking for at least 8 hours straight. So I try not to think about it. Yeah, I try to just do it. But yeah, 100, roughly 140, around 142 miles is probably more accurate, something like that.
So you, like, you do it in increments, like you just mentioned. So you go home, sleep, get up, and then start right where you left off. I wanted to
Yeah,
know, what are you have your AirPods on, what are you listening to?
So I've been it's funny, I've changed it to a speaker. So I just have this JBL speaker that clips on my bag and um
Okay.
yeah, but I listen to a lot of Jack Johnson.
Okay.
Uh yeah, and I don't know, I guess just whatever, I listen to a lot of different music. So but this last time I didn't listen to much at all because there's so many people um, that join, and I want to talk story with them and just
Yeah.
be in that moment and give them my attention. So, but yeah, I will play music from time to time, just jamming out, trying to get through the day. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's pretty intense. And like you said, you were a lot of people came in support. How did the support grow through the years? I mean, I'm sure people are starting to hear about it and wanting to help you and support you. People just show up on a random day, or like how has the support been?
yeah, so when I started this, it was I made a post to it's a Facebook group, one of the hiking pages, and I was kind of just trying to get advice. I was wanting to see if anybody had walked the perimeter, um, and if they did, like what route I could possibly take and things like that. Because I didn't have a route. I just kind of made one up myself.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so I was kind of just looking for advice, and so when I posted that, I kind of gave a backstory of why I wanted to do it. Um, and then it just kind of blew up from there. So then I had I had one guy reach out to me and he's like, I want to do the whole thing with you. And I was like, okay. I mean, I never met the guy. And so, sometimes people say they're joining and then they can't make it or whatever. So I knew I was going to show up that day, and if people showed up, awesome. But if they
Yeah.
didn't, I still had a plan in mind.
Yeah.
Um, so from the beginning, I've been very fortunate because I've had quite a few people be very supportive of this. The support has definitely changed over the years, and um, I had that I had multiple news interviews the very first time. So, but it was kind of it was a new thing, and they were like, if you could get some shots of you walking, send it in to us and that type of thing, and um, so yeah, I mean, the support's been there from the beginning, and it's been amazing, and but also, this last time, I'll tell you this. I think the first, so when I did the walk the first time, I think there was probably 6 people that showed up on the first day. Um, sorry,
No
six
worries.
people that showed up on the first day, and then this last time there were close to 60.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, so it was it's definitely gotten more exposure and things like that, and that helps obviously, um but also it shows how many people have been impacted by not just not just suicide in general, but mental health.
Yeah.
So and that's where I'm getting all of this support from is people that have been impacted by it, or have lost someone to suicide, or have had their own thoughts of suicide. So um, it's there's a lot of people
Yeah.
that are struggling. So and that's where I'm getting a lot of support from. So um, it's good. It's good for me. It's good for them. So
Yeah. So do you train for this? Like do you like May is coming up, or whenever you're about to embark on this journey, do you like, okay, I got to start getting in shape, or are you constantly training for it, or
um, so the smart answer would be yes. The Chad answer is no. I do not train for it at all. Um, so and um, maybe part of it's because I'm lazy, but also I do like it's for me it's a mental thing, and it's I kind of do it to prove to myself that, we can do hard things.
Yeah.
And, sure, training is very smart. I will definitely train for the next one. But yeah, I haven't trained for any of them. Um, I am not bragging about that either. I don't advise that, but um, yeah, I haven't trained for it. So yeah,
All right. Well, I guess maybe that might be a little bit of the reason why you're injured.
yeah, well, this is the fourth time I've done this. I did Maui as well. It was 164 miles.
Oh, wow.
I carried around 30 pounds the whole time, and because I had to camp there every night,
Okay.
and I didn't train for that one. So this is like a I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We're still trying to figure all that out, but um, yeah, I everyone keeps telling me I'm getting older, but I refuse to accept that 34 is the age that I start to decline. So, um, but yeah, so yeah, it didn't help that I didn't train for sure. So
So what injuries you said you broke your like pretty much broke your legs like what I can't even imagine how walking would do that, but I guess just the I don't know, man. How like can you let me know what happened? I don't know.
yeah, well, I met with a doctor and my calcium levels were high. We did
Mm,
some blood work, and if if your calcium levels are high, I've learned that it can actually make your bones weaker. Um, so perhaps there was an issue before the walk. Perhaps um,
mm,
maybe I had some. I definitely had some issues in my knees because of the. I do flooring for a living, so my
yeah.
knees are already messed up. But yeah, I remember we were so the very first day of the walk, I wanted to do Cocoa Head stairs also. So
You
we
added that
start,
in?
yeah. So we started at the zoo, and we went, Hawaii Kai and did the did the stairs, and but I felt great after that. Um, so periodically I will run. Like if there's not people joining on the walk, I'll jog or whatever. Just try to speed it up a little bit, and it's just honestly to me it feels easier to run or at least jog than it does just walking.
Mm,
You get a little momentum, especially going downhill and things. So, but day five, let's see, day four, end of day four, we had walked like 24 miles and we were in Waianae. And I was like, I want to sprint. So, I had a friend do the whole thing with me this year, and still we were just running. I mean, we were sprinting. And that night is when I got home and my legs were just like all the same size. There's no definition of my calf, or it was just my legs were so swollen. So, and then the next day I was limping pretty bad. So I think that
oh.
with everything that I've been doing, um, plus my knees being messed up already, I think that's the night that I messed them up. Um, but I still had 2 days to walk, so I wasn't gonna quit. Um, so yeah, I would say that was the night that I messed my legs up. And yeah, so but I finished and I limped on through, but got it done. So
That's amazing. That's definitely shows mental strength. Mental over
yeah,
physical.
right. Yeah.
To get into the topic of mental health, and that's one of the huge reasons why I wanted to have you on. I was bullied as a younger when I was young and I had to go through stuff like that. I realize now with the accessibility children and kids have to each other through social media,
hmm
um it and even with having a daughter that's using social media, it's scary because now the outreach is constant. It can be all day. It can be there is it's to the point where you're not safe from it. And bullies is, I don't understand why people do it, and I was struggling with it for a while. It's one of the reasons why I took martial arts and help kids learn to defend themselves against bullies. Um
Mhm.
I don't, I think like with what you said with your age when we were younger, it's especially myself, I didn't have to deal with the whole social media bullying. And you have keyboard warriors that hide behind their phones and screens, but a lot of what they say and do is damaging. And the silliness they can put with videos and memes and pictures, and it's so vast of the way they can use tools like that to bully. And how has your knowledge about what is happening now with um kids being bullied, how, like, what have you noticed being different from the things that you had to deal with, if you had to deal with it when you were younger?
Yeah, I mean, so I was definitely bullied when I was younger. Um, but also I believe um, I definitely bullied people too.
Mm.
And I think that it was, well, I'll say I remember it not feeling right. It didn't
Oh,
feel right to you know bully someone. And so I remember thinking, this, I can't do this. And I've had people reach out to me, or I had one person reach out to me, and he said, you know, I remember you bullied me, but I also remember you apologizing. And, so, and, I think we forget sometimes that, we've all made mistakes.
yeah,
And a lot of times, a kid bullying someone, it could stem from something happening at home, or even at school, if someone's bullying them, and then they want to lash out at someone else because they're feeling down. And um and I think that that's probably why I did it, or why I remember
yeah,
doing it once or twice. I know it. I know I stopped it fast because like I said, I just remember it not feeling right. um and I'm glad that I didn't let that go on, because I do think that a lot of people regret that as they get older.
yeah,
You can't ignore that. You can't just pretend that it didn't happen. Um, and I do regret, you know, that happening. And I don't remember how old I was. I think I was probably 13 years old, something like that. But there was just one instance that I remember. So as far as the bullying goes, I mean, like you said, there's no escaping it now.
yeah,
Um, and there's kids that, parents want to protect their children from social media. And but then what you're sort of doing is kind of isolating your child, and then they're bullied because they don't have social media, because
true,
they're not like the other kids, that. And one thing that I've tried to um, be aware of is that, we society as a whole has evolved. We're always evolving, and things just aren't the same as, now as they were when we were children. So, social media is a big part of everyone's life, really. I mean, it's a way that people have, that communicate, stay in touch. I mean, it can be
yeah,
used for a lot of good. If it weren't for social media, I wouldn't be able to try and spread as much love as possible, you
very
know?
true,
Um, but in turn, it's like anything. I mean, it can be bad. And so it's it's terrifying. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and you're right. I mean, people will say stuff that they would never say in person,
yeah,
and I do my best to basically just teach my daughter that you know I'm sure the person that's saying mean things to you is probably hurting.
Yeah.
And I mean, they say, hurt people hurt people. So, and I believe that. I've been there before. And so I actually use an app on my daughter's phone, and it uses algorithms to search for keywords in text messages or Google searches or anything that could be self-harm, bullying, anything like that. So that makes me feel much better. Um,
Okay,
and
wait, what app is that? Because I think I need
um, yeah,
that.
it's called Bark, Bark.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and of course, certain apps have gotten pretty good about not allowing things like that.
Okay.
Um, but it's still good, especially for text messages and things like that. I've been notified more than once that there were
Mm,
some words being used that I needed to look into, and I got the alert immediately.
that's perfect.
And I do believe that if I had that on Sienna's phone, that a big part of me wants to believe that she'd still be here today. So I'm a big advocate for that for sure. As parents, we need to do everything we can to, you know, just make sure that our kids are okay.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't even remember how much I pay a month for that Bark app, but there's no amount of money that I wouldn't pay, to make sure that my kids are safe.
definitely.
Um, so yeah, that's a big thing that I turn to or rely on is that app. And because again, I social media can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
Um, and I do believe it's a big reason for a lot of kids taking their lives.
I
And
I would think so too. And I know I was talking about it on my last episode that a lot of negativity increases a lot more clicks, followers, and views. It's disappointing. Like I was saying, like I could write a poem and sing a song and release the video, and I'll get certain amount of likes. Or I could pound out the guy down the street and put that video up, and that would get way more views, likes, and it's
yeah,
that negativity that increases clout, and that's what
yeah,
people are chasing. So a lot of it tends to be negative. But like
yeah,
with people like you and what I try to put out on my content and what I try to consume is more positive things. And I think like you said, there's good and bad. Like I can get fully inspired from some of the stuff that I consume versus
mhm,
like, oh yeah, I just watched two guys beefing in the streets. Like it's just choice. It's my choice to what I want to consume. So
right,
I feel like if we educate our kids to gravitate towards positive consumption on social media, that might be a big key to it too. But it's hard because it's addicting. You like you go down a rabbit hole and
yeah,
I mean I'm sometimes fall into like negative views, and then I'm like, what am I doing? Like I gotta like I don't like how it's making me feel. With kids, they're way more impressionable. They can be, I don't know what I'm trying to say. They can be swayed more
right,
through what they watch and through what
right,
their friends show them. Like their friends could be like, "Hey, check this out," and it's something bad. And um, just with the outreach of social media, it's huge. Like the whole island. Like when we were growing up, like I would only have to worry about like who's in my vicinity because I'm not gonna hear from people in town, or I live in Kaneohe, so it's Kaneohe is my safe zone. Like
right,
now you can get tracked or harassed by people all over the state, country,
mhm,
even the world. Um I do like that idea of the app because I feel like that would be a good key as a parent or a good tool as a parent. But um, in your opinion, when do you step away from that? Like, how old does your daughter have to be where you, okay, kind of loosen the reins and let them experience life on their own without you trying to filter them from it?
So I'll tell you the same thing I told my kids. I'm kind of just figuring this out as I go. We all are, right?
Yep.
Like, and I tell them like, I'm sure I've done some things that you might resent me for when you get older, and like I'm truly just trying to figure this out as I go. But also I also try to educate myself as much as possible.
Yeah.
Um, I want to have some sort of a guide to go by. But it's hard to say because I mean I have a 19-year-old son, and um, it's just I don't know. It feels different with every child, right?
Yeah.
Like, and especially with him, like he was definitely bullied. I mean, we lived in Arkansas, and he's Chinese and Filipino, and he's much smaller than everyone that was in his class in Arkansas. So he got bullied for that, and but he didn't get a phone till a little later, until he was a little
Mm.
older. So it's like with my daughter now, like I'm really just trying to. I'm not sure what the perfect time is to stop being very safe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
um, I do my best to give her as much freedom as possible. I don't want to try to control her every move, because that creates problems. I
Yeah.
mean, we got to let them we got to let them live a little bit, and experience things. And um, but my daughter keeps asking me to get Instagram, and I'm like, yeah, like I I'm not ready for that yet,
Yeah.
and she's had TikTok at times, and then I'm like, I think it's time to take a break from that, because I mean, I know what it does to me. I know how it just sucks me in, and I'm like focused on that, and it's just it's made to keep our attention. It's made to
Yeah.
just keep us attached to it. And so as far as like I don't know. I wish I had the answer for that. And I would love to think that maybe, I mean, when she gets, I don't know, I want to say 16, but, you know, I don't know. I just want to protect her as much as possible. And,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's just all about finding balance. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just parenting in general. Like being a decent parent, I say, is one of the hardest jobs I've ever had.
I agree.
Um, yeah, and it's it's a struggle all the time because I worry if I'm doing too much. I worry if I'm not doing enough, and people will you post anything, people will tell you their opinion.
Oh yeah.
They'll tell you that you're not doing enough or you're doing something wrong. I mean, so if you ever want to know what you're doing, just ask. People will tell you. Uh, but but yeah, I'm definitely going to just keep monitoring everything on her phone for as long as I can. She has screen time. I have all that set up on her phone, so she only gets a certain amount of time each day. And after that, her phone she can still text or call, but that's about it. Um, so yeah, I definitely monitor stuff still. She's 11. It's young, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that tell you that 11's too young to have a phone. So I think that it's just, like I said, you got to find the balance and everything.
Yeah. Selfishly, I was hoping for an answer because my daughter's 13 and I'm going through the same kind of struggles, especially like you said with Instagram. She's asking me for Instagram. She has TikTok that I monitor, and Like I'll read every single comment, look at every person's uh whoever liked whatever, I'll go look at their stuff. Is you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's um safety, but I am the same. I have a hard time navigating the balance. I don't want to do too much to where she's gonna start trying to hide stuff from me, and I don't want to do
Right.
too little bit where I don't know if something um wrong is going on. So it is a balance,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
definitely can relate to that whole parenting has been the hardest job. And I'm a single dad with a daughter, and like shoot, just her having her period freaked me the fuck out. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah. No,
it's been
no, I get it. I mean,
challenging.
but I don't think, yeah, yeah, I don't think you're doing the wrong thing. I like
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing. I think what's important, what this is, I can give this advice. If you do find something that's a bit concerning, I think it's important how you react to it is very important. Because if you can react in a positive way, even if you find something that it's something that she did or said or something like the more negative you react to that, the more likely she is to shut down and the more
Mm,
likely she is to start hiding things, right?
yeah.
And so I think that I tell my daughter, I'm like, listen, and I told my son this too, you know, whatever happens, please tell me about it and we will get through it together. It doesn't mean that I'm going to agree with it, but I promise to not judge you. Like if she's bullying someone, I want to figure out what that stems from and what's making her want to bully people or what. So for sure, keep checking things.
Yeah.
But if you find something, I just recommend, just try to go about, take some time, don't react, obviously, if you're upset. But I think that is very important. That's, I think some good advice that I can give is just, don't make it to where they just don't want to tell you anything. I hear a
Yeah.
lot of people, or I've heard people in the past, parents tell their kids, I'm not your friend. That's not my job. My job is to be your parent. And I don't, that's not what I don't agree with that.
Yeah, me neither.
I think you can have that relationship with your kids. You can be their friend because they're most likely to tell their friends everything.
Yeah.
And, there's,
That
and
makes
you can be
sense.
a right. You can be friends with your kids and them still respect you. We want that with everyone. We tell our kids that, you need to respect people, have respect for people. So why can't we have that same relationship? You can be friends with someone and still guide them, or your child and still guide them and help them make the right decisions. So I'm big on that. I'm big on I tell my daughter, I'm like, I promise you can tell me anything. Like we'll laugh about it, we'll cry about it. Like just please talk to me about it, and I promise we'll get through it. So, um, sorry, to, I do think that you're doing the right thing. Checking things and
Yeah.
because I truly believe you can't be too safe, right?
Yeah.
Um, because if you did miss something, if you missed something and something bad happened, you would regret that, and you
Yes.
would you would tell yourself every day, I wish I would have done more, right? And so, I just please keep doing what you're doing. I tell parents like you need to be annoying about it almost. I'm annoying at times when I'm like this morning actually. My girlfriend and I were leaving and I could tell something was wrong with my daughter. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, I'm fine. I'm like, no, I've known you for 11 years. Something's going on. And I asked her 4 times before she finally told me. I could have just said, okay, and walked out the door.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't. I I didn't get upset with her. I was gentle and I said, hey, just tell me what's going on. And she told me, and we talked about it, and I was able to leave this morning and go to work knowing that she was okay.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know what was wrong, and address it. So I think it's important to do that. Keep doing what you're doing for sure.
Wow, that really hits home. I like that. if you're their friend, they're likely to tell their friends anything. And
Right.
I try to keep that concept with my daughter. Um, my problem is, like you said, how to handle something when something bad happens or something
Hmm.
wrong happens. I tend to fly off the handle and then retract it versus
Right.
kind of getting my bearings and then addressing it in a way that it would be a lot more productive. I think
Hmm.
I'm learning that. I think just talking to you right now is making me realize that needs to happen more. I do
Yeah.
have great communication with my daughter. Like, she started talking to a boy recently, and she
Hmm.
immediately told me, and I was surprised she did. And we had a good
Right.
conversation about it. Inside I was like, who's this kid? I'm gonna go to his house. So it's like I let her talk because she was opening up to me, and if I freaked her out about it, she'll never do that again. And
Right. Exactly.
everything you just said hits home with me because um like you said, how you react is gonna be how they're gonna continue to be open with what they're doing. It's scary to think like, oh man, these kids are growing up. My daughter's 13, she shouldn't be in high school next year, and um I'm stressed about it, but I like to think I put in the good roots to where, like how you said, we could get through anything together. And of
Hmm.
course, now it's all about her friends, and she doesn't want to cruise with daddy on the weekends as
Yeah.
much. She doesn't want to um talk to me as much. She's on the phone with her friends and all this, and
Right.
I gotta try to carve out time to just spend with her. And like last night, she fell asleep on my shoulder watching TV, and I remember
Mhm.
thinking like, oh man, this happened all the time, but now it's
Yeah.
very few, far and few times in between it happening. And
Right.
I remember to be in this moment. She's on my shoulder, we're watching TV, and like I needed to appreciate the moment and um understand, like, the older they get, things like that ain't gonna happen as much. But man, it's hard having daughters, but it's also the biggest blessing I've ever had. And
Yeah.
to hear you talk about parenting, how you describe it, is kind of similar to what I'm going through and how I'm trying to do it. So like you said, it makes me feel like I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
It ain't easy,
But
man.
like you said, the no, it's not. But you saying like those roots, having those roots, like sure, my daughter for sure, like she wants to spend time with her friends and stuff, and but they always come back to you, right?
Yeah,
And you do the right thing, and you make them feel safe, and like they can tell you anything. It's always you that they're going to want to call, when they're at their lowest, or and it's part of being a parent. It's we have kids and they're young, and we take care of them the best that we can, and then they get older and we did the same thing.
yeah.
It's just it's part of life, and I try to not dwell on that because it's sad as hell to think that like my daughter's growing up, and but I just I appreciate every moment that I have with her. And I say that because I look back at when Sienna was alive, and I was trying to build my business, and I was working all the time trying to be successful. And I'd give anything just to go back and have 2 minutes. And so it's like now I it taught me a lot. I lost Sienna, but it taught me how important just every minute is with it. Um, I still, I'm not the perfect parent for sure. I still make mistakes, but I
Yeah.
definitely value that time. And unfortunately, I had to suffer the greatest loss I'll ever experience. But you know, like I said, I mean, Sienna would have been 17 now, and you know, Isabella, my 11-year-old, uh, she's just a year younger than Sienna was when Sienna took her life. So I, it's like Isabella's almost at that age, and unfortunately, one thing that happens when you lose a child is you, or for me, I should say, I panic every time there's confrontation or something bad's happening, and I'm like, okay, I have to make this situation better. Like I need to know that she's okay and she's not thinking of hurting herself. And it,
Yeah.
truthfully, it's a shitty way to live because I I panic a lot, and um, so that is kind of why I like this morning. Like I before when I was trying to build my business, I probably would have said, okay, I'm leaving and then left. I would ask, but I, was I really digging? Was I really trying to make sure that things are okay? We as parents we get complacent and
Yes.
we kind of become oblivious to the things that are going on because we're trying to provide for our kids, and we're doing our best to give them the best life possible, but in reality we're really just kind of focused on wanting there to be as much financial stability as possible, and we think that that's enough, but it's not anything when they're gone. You don't
Yeah.
like if something happens to them, money doesn't. Money never really fixed it. What they needed was love and validation. Um, so that's why I'm more so focused on that now more than anything. Um, Obviously it's expensive to live here, and I've been a single father now, and so of course I have to work, but any chance that I get, I'm trying to make sure that my kids are okay mentally,
Yeah.
you know, um, because that's what they need. Kids need love. Like it's what they need more than anything. I mean, there's families that aren't doing well financially, but they're loved, and a lot of them that's what they want. Some of them that's all they know is to be loved. You
Yeah.
know, and that's what's most important. And that's why I try to tell parents like you have to you have to try as hard as you possibly can to be there for them, um, and teach them everything that you can. You know, let them try to walk them through your mistakes that you made when you were younger. Um, but yeah, that's it's what I try to do every day, and my daughter does get annoyed sometimes because like I said, I want to keep digging and keep trying to figure out what's going on, and um, but I know what it's like to not have your child anymore,
Yeah.
and that's I'll keep doing what I'm doing for sure because I'd rather know for sure that I did everything that I could.
That's definitely understandable. Yeah, I feel the same. Like I've took in or missed different opportunities business wise and stuff like that because I wanted to spend time with my daughter or I wanted to do
Yeah.
things with her. I was blessed for whatever sport I took part in when I was growing up. My I could look in the stands and see my parents, and I felt that um I promised myself I would do the same for my daughter. I've
Mhm.
um go out of my way to show her the love and to have her feel that. there were some times where I kind of brushed things off, like how you could have this morning, when
Uh-huh.
you know something's wrong and they say they're not, and I say, okay, good, then you're good. And I realized like multiple times I had to take a step back and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like like you can tell,
Yeah.
I can tell, like how you
Yeah.
just said, you know when something's wrong. They, like you said, you knew her
Yeah.
for 11 years. I knew my like I can look at her and within 2 seconds know something's wrong. She had a good day.
Right.
Something's right. Something's not right. Like it's parent intuition, and people need to react to it. And
Right.
wow, everything you're telling me is hitting home, bro. It's crazy. I feel like how we navigate parenting is gonna be how our our kids are gonna do the same for their kids, and they'll
Yep.
probably weed out the good and bad, as I know I did. Like there's some things my parents done
Mm.
where I promised myself I wouldn't do, and there's a lot
Right.
that they've done where it's like, oh, I'm gonna do exactly that because I know how it made me feel. Um,
Right.
there's no playbook for this, bro. Like you could read all their books out there, but it's not something you're gonna understand until you're going through it. And
Right.
I like hearing you talk about it can help. And I know
Yeah.
what you're doing probably is helping a lot of people that you probably don't even know.
Yeah.
Listening to you is already putting thoughts in my head how to do things differently. And man, I feel like as men, we need to communicate these things to
Mm.
other men. I feel like we don't have to be macho and like, bruh,
Yeah.
like you tear up, almost made me tear up. You know what I mean? It's I'm
Yeah.
not ashamed of that, because being a dad and being a real dad is more valuable than what
Right.
anybody else can think or judge of me. Um,
Yeah.
I think guys gotta be more open to that and be more um intuitive and communicate more on how to be better dads, because
Mm-hmm.
we're the ones going through it. You know what I mean? Like we're the
Yeah.
ones going through it. We're the ones having to figure it out. And if I can get a tip from you, or I could help you with a tip that I know, like Brad, then we're becoming stronger as dads together. And I think that's something that could benefit everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's important to stay open-minded, and it's hard sometimes to. I noticed you said, you take the good and bad from what your parents did, and you use the good, right? There's a lot of people that, unfortunately, they they were raised a certain way, and then they think, well, I'm fine, right? Like I'm going to raise my kids the same way, and they're not fine. There's some. It's hard to admit that maybe your parents did some wrong,
Yeah.
because we have so much respect for our parents. A lot of us do, and we don't ever want to view them as being wrong about things. So I don't have a relationship with my father anymore, but I didn't have a great one. I wanted to, but he was, um, it just wasn't a great relationship, and I remember the feeling of waiting for him to show up to pick me up on his weekends, and then him not showing up. And I
Mhm.
remember thinking, I will never do that. Um, and there's times where I have failed as a parent. So, but I promise you, I've been pretty damn good too.
Yep.
And I used those feelings that I had. I remember what it made me feel, and I don't want any kid to feel like that,
Yeah.
and so, in a way, I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I had that kind of experience, and know what that does to a child, especially with all the research I've done since then, and
Yeah.
just trying to learn about kids, and you know, it's helped me a lot. But I had to I had to accept that I'm not always going to do things. I'm not always going to do things right, and that there's always room for growth.
Yeah.
Um, and again, back to what I was saying, like I'm kind of just figuring it out as I go, and but I think there's beauty in that. There's definitely beauty in expressing your feelings. I
Yeah.
mean, um, it's it's good for you. It's I think it's good for your kids to see that. Um, and I sometimes people say, well, you're oversharing or things like that. And sure, there's times where you could be oversharing, but holding it all in doesn't help anyone,
Yeah.
you know. And I mean, my daughter's seen me. Every news interview I do, I cry. So she's seen me cry on TV. When I do public speaking, she's been there for that. She's seen me cry, and um, I just want her to know it's okay, to express things. And my son obviously has seen it too. And yeah, I think you have to be very strong to be okay with crying to people and opening up and without the fear of being judged.
Yeah.
I mean, I care about people, but if they think a certain way about me, that's fine. It's whatever. You can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think it's good for them to see that we are human.
Yep.
You
And I
know,
think that's what makes you a man, like a real man. Like in everybody it's perception, and I think that the way people perceive how men should be shouldn't show weakness, but I don't believe that. I can show weakness in front of my daughter. I admit to my daughter when I'm wrong or I reacted in a way that I shouldn't. And I think that's those are the qualities that I feel make me a man, and I would want those qualities in a man that my daughter would end up with marrying and
right,
having a family with. So I try to
yeah,
I try to show those qualities as much as I can, because in the long run that's the kind of man I would want her to be attracted to and
right,
want to start a family with, someone with those same qualities.
right,
And the best way to do it is lead by example. And if I'm that person, I hope that's the person she'll seek out.
yeah,
But who knows? We'll see. I
yeah. I
hope it
mean,
works.
yeah, I try to tell people, I'm like, you can do everything right, or what you
Yeah.
think is right, and your kids ultimately do have the final say
Yeah.
in the choices that they make. I mean, you can give them all the advice in the world, and
Yeah.
it ends up being up to them, and that's scary. But it was that way with my son. I would always tell him, like, you got to do this, you got to do this. Don't go out, don't drink, please. I mean, but they're going to do what they want.
Yeah.
But hopefully you've given them enough good advice and guidance that they will make the right choice. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you were talking about how you were doing a lot of research and learning a lot about kids and mental health, and you've been doing a lot of talking about it on the news. I seen you went to schools and talk about it.
Mhm.
How has that been? How hard or easy has it been for you to connect with these kids and share your story and be able to impact them or make a difference in their mental health?
Um, I kind of back to being vulnerable. I think there's something people connect to people that are vulnerable. I think that are opening up, right? Like it makes them feel safe in a way.
Yeah.
So I have when I did speak at schools, I've had multiple kids reach out to me or come up to me and tell me that they're struggling, and that just hearing that really helped them, right? Um, because back to the social media thing, we see we see so many people that seem to be having the best life, right? Like people don't
Yeah.
really, it's like they just don't share the everything, right? I don't
Yeah.
obviously share everything. I don't want people knowing everything. I mean, I have plenty of flaws. Um, but on social media, it probably looks like I somewhat have it together. But,
Yep.
it's just, um, and that's what I try to get across to kids is, you know, what I'm feeling right now. This is real. This is what a lot of people feel. They feel sadness and they feel, you know, they're not good enough or whatever. I mean, that's that's the truth. That's that's what is really going through people's minds. I have quite a few very successful friends and they struggle. I mean,
Mm.
money doesn't change everything. I mean, you just have a new set of problems.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's it helps me connect with kids. It's just being vulnerable
Yeah.
and then seeing someone that's hurting. They see someone that um, that's lost their child to suicide, and it kind of makes them think about it. Like, okay, I'm just because I feel like someone doesn't care about me doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
And that is my message to them a lot of times. Like, you are loved, and I don't have to know you to care about you. I don't have to know you personally to want you to stay. And that's really just the message I'm trying to get across to kids, and it's working. And I was telling my girlfriend, I don't think there's any better feeling for me than hearing that what I'm doing saved their life. Even if it's just even if I just save them for another day, like those little things, those little positive impacts, enough of those and you can really make a change,
Yep.
right? And like that's other than being a dad, like that is one of the greatest accomplishments I'll ever have in life.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and on the walk this last time, I had multiple people tell me that just being there and being with me and just me listening to them has made them want to get help. Um,
Nice.
and man, it's just like I, you know I could I don't know, I could have broken my legs 20 times and I still would do this walk. It's still worth it to me. Um,
Yep.
and so I found purpose in that. And um, so yeah, sorry, I'm all over the place, but
No,
but
I get it.
you know, it is that the whole connecting with kids thing, and then now having parents bringing the kids out to the walk and them talking about it. I had tons of parents reach out to me and say, I didn't even know that my child could possibly be thinking about hurting themselves until I asked them because I saw what you're doing. And so many of them said that their kids have considered suicide, and they had no idea. Young kids, I mean, 10, 9, like really young. And
Jeez.
yeah,
Scary.
it is. A lot of parents want to believe that. I guess we kind of view our kids as being pretty innocent, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Um, but they're exposed to so much now, and it's not that they're maturing faster. It's just they're being exposed to so much, and like you said, the bullying thing. So um, it's important to get that message across to kids. It's kind of going back to the whole friend thing. I mean, if kids feel safe to tell me things, and then I can get them help. Um, and I have done that multiple times. So again, there's no greater feeling than feeling like you saved someone's life.
And like you said, it's like those little wins, they
Hmm.
stack up and make a difference. And
Yeah.
I totally can relate to that. Little things can be a win. And
Hmm.
every day, if you can actually count more wins than losses, you still win. You know what I mean? It could be anything. Like,
Yeah.
say you have a, like, you're overweight, and you wanna you have a big piece of pie, and usually you'll eat four
Mhm.
pieces and you only ate two. That's a win. You know what I mean? And little
It is,
changes
yeah.
like little changes like that, and little W's throughout the day can impact your day in a positive way. And it can stack. You can stack those W's all the way up, and that's when the change
Yeah.
happens. And I think you feed off of those W's, and it gives you
Hmm.
a good sense of purpose, and it gives you a way to know that you're doing something right. I think with positive results equals great motivation. Like, if you're
Hmm.
working out, if you start noticing, like, oh, I'm getting bigger and stronger, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing because it's working. I think when you
Hmm.
receive a positive feedback and a W, it motivates you to keep going and do more. I think um it's good fuel for what you're trying to accomplish. What
Hmm.
For kids, like, what kind of help can they get? Like, say if I have a friend's kid who needs help, or my daughter or something, what kind of avenue can they seek out to where they can get help? Like, what is available to them for mental health, and to give them that strength to keep going?
So, I mean, well, first I want to say we need to we need to make it okay for kids to talk to adults without being judged,
Yeah,
right? Like we need to
definitely.
make sure that they know that they can turn to someone with one and feel validated. Because if a child or an adult does finally open up to someone and they're not validated, that's a horrible feeling. I've been there,
Yeah,
you know. So that to me is the first step. We have to try to figure out how to, we need to be talking to our kids and telling them, hey, if your friend tells you something, and this happened with someone, they reached out to this other child. This child told me about it, and I called the school immediately and got them help. They had help the next day. So, depending on who you're going to go through, I mean, even if it were you, I mean, there's organizations available that will help you and point you in the right direction. I partnered with MHA Mental Health America Hawaii. I partnered with them a couple years, and they can point you in the right direction too. As far as maybe, I'm a big advocate for therapy too, counseling.
yeah,
Like, um, if I'll say this, if there's an emergency, obviously you need to go to the emergency room. If someone is about to hurt themselves or something like that, like, I had parents reach out to me and say that their kids were doing self harm and they wanted to know what to do, and I'm like, the emergency room. Like, if it's happening right now, you need to take them, but a lot of parents don't want to take them in fear of losing their kids.
yeah,
Um, so let's say your kid does get admitted. It's better that they get admitted and get the help that they need instead of being gone forever.
yep,
You know,
I agree.
and so so I would say, if your kid's going through something, try to get them into counseling. Um, I do understand that counseling might not be for everyone, but it's helped give me the tools, to try to navigate my feelings because I've had my own struggles, I've had my own attempts, um, and my son's been in therapy. After he lost his sister, he was the one that found her that night. So he needed to talk to someone. He needed to work through that, and now my daughter now is in therapy. Um, so I'm big on that. I'm big on trying to get kids help, and there's plenty of places for them. Um, we just have to, as parents, as friends, whatever, you got to put in the work, and you got to see it through, right? If you truly want to help, you do the work for them if you have to, just to get them kind of started. Do what you can for them. But again, just getting therapy, just counseling, like that's a lot of help. It can be a lot of help, and I recommend that you shop for a counselor. You don't have to settle on the first one if you don't feel connected to them or feel like you can, really open up to them, then find someone else. I mean,
Yeah.
it's it really is a lot like dating. You don't have to settle for the first person. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think um, trying to get them help, and obviously if it's a friend, or if it's one of your daughter's friends trying to reaching out to you for help, do her or he, whatever, do their parents know that they're struggling, and maybe they don't want their parents to know. It's a bit of a struggle at times, but I just know that you got to see it through. Um,
Yeah.
and I have people reach out to me, and I'll tell them what to do. Hey, I contacted this friend. They recommend this therapist or this, and I let a little bit of time go by, maybe a couple days, and then I check back in, and I keep checking in. And then when they finally go to therapy, then I check in to see how their therapy's going. Like
Mm.
I I'm in it. If they open up to me, I'm committed to making sure that I've done everything I can to help them. And at some point it does become it's on them, right? Like they have to put
Yeah.
in the work too.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm big on. I mean, if you ask anyone that's reached out to me, I'm bugging them about it. I want to know how it's going, how their child's doing, how they're doing. Um, it's important to me. I truly care about the well-being of these people. I'm grateful that they opened up to me and that they shared these thoughts and feelings with me. Um, so I do everything that I can to help them.
And that is to go back to your point, like you gotta see it through. And
Hmm.
like you can send your kid to counseling and, oh, I did my part. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. You gotta see it
Right.
through and make sure they're taking steps
Yeah.
and getting better and healthier. That I think is positive, and I think it's making differences. I think for kids nowadays, it's becoming a more prevalent issue, mental health, and it's something that wasn't talked
Hmm.
about when we were young or when I was young, and now it's becoming more mainstream. So
Hmm.
the avenues to get help and to be open and be able to seek help has been um more available to people. I like that though, to see it through. Like I know,
Yeah.
not just with mental health, with anything, people
Right.
start but don't finish. Like you gotta finish. You gotta see it through, and um, I think that's a good lesson to be learned. Um, with your own mental health, how has it been for you, and what tools have you gained from learning how to develop positivity for your mental health?
Um, well, I'll say that, you know, I've been to a lot of therapy. I've been to counseling even to try to be a better parent. So I've been in and out of it for quite some time. And I've definitely learned a lot. I've learned a lot from talking to a counselor, and I've also learned a lot just doing my own research and reading self-help books and things like that. And the biggest thing that I've learned from it all is that I have to put in the work, and there's no just perfect, easy solution to it. Um, and when you put in the work, you start to realize that you start to identify all these traumas, all this trauma that you have from childhood, and and for me, what I learned from therapy, the biggest thing, biggest takeaway, I think, is you need to try to, you know, be easy on yourself. Um, you got to forgive yourself, um, and that's a hard one. Obviously, after losing Sienna, it's hard to forgive yourself, and but I mean, I don't know. I think that just when I'm feeling pretty down, I really try to rely on people to get me through it. Um, because that's what I tell people. Reach out to me. I also, if you feel like nobody cares about you, I tell people just text or call 5 people and ask them how they feel if you're gone. Like, and I know for sure that some people would be devastated if I was gone. So I tried to just kind of pick some things. I look for things to be grateful for, and I look for reasons to stay alive. Um, that was a big one for me. Is not ever allowing myself to convince myself that everyone would be fine without me.
Yeah.
Um, that was a hard one, because when you're having thoughts of suicide, it's hard to think that. I mean, especially I've had these thoughts off and on since I was probably 4, maybe 15 years old. That's a long time to be fighting that battle of trying to convince yourself that you should stay.
Yeah.
And but like I said, I mean, I try to use these things, these tools of just finding things to stay alive for, until I get a little better, and then obviously it's easier to see those things. Um, I appreciate all the good that I have. I try to reflect on that. There's a lot to be thankful for, and I'm not saying there's a lot to be sad about, or that there's not. I mean, there's plenty. Um, but for me, it's just I know that I got to put in the work,
Yes.
um, and it is work. There's times where it's much harder than others, but that's life. I Maybe the biggest thing that's really helped me is I realize how complex things really are, and it helps me take a step back and kind of view things a little differently, um, and realize that I can't control everything. Just
Mm.
like I can't save everyone. I want to, but I had to tell myself, or someone told me actually, that they said you can't save everyone, and that helped me breathe a bit.
Yeah.
Because I was feeling overwhelmed. I'm like, we're losing people at a rapid rate. Like, what can I do? And um, so kind of back to your question, like, I'm doing the best that I can. That's what I tell myself. Do the best that you can. And it's okay to have bad moments, or be sad. Um, you just got to work through it.
Yeah.
Um, it truly is not that it's simple, but it truly is, just telling yourself you've got to work through it. Things do get better. They can.
Yeah.
And you got to find reasons to stay alive.
I often find when I struggle with feeling bad or whatever, I try to focus on what I'm most appreciative of. Once
Hmm.
I start focusing on the things that I'm appreciative of, it puts me in a better mindset, or definitely in a positive mood. It's hard to feel negative when you're being thankful.
Right.
Um I tried That's definitely something I've learned from one of my friends, and um
Hmm.
I try to pick up tools along the way. I don't deal with too much depression. I um have moments, but I try to figure out how to focus on positive things to get through it. Um I see what you're doing, and that's already a tool that I can use for my own self. You know what I mean? It's like I can draw strength from people like you to help me
Right.
with whatever I'm dealing with. You know what I mean? It's um a good platform to kind of focus on. I think that people talking about it and is always a good thing. And I think what you just said, text 5 people, how would you feel if I was gone? Because in reality, like once you're gone, your problems are done and everybody else's begins. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
knowing that will help sway people's decision making. And um I think that this world is crazy. I even noticed like you posted something about someone having a negative comment on your social media about
mm,
something. I'm like, bruh, it's so weird for me to think people are out there sitting on their phones just trying to hurt other people is mind boggling to me. Like what like
yeah.
why don't you have anything better to do? How do you kind of block those kind of things out? I'm sure you probably get a little bit of kickback in a negative way for what you're doing, and those keyboard idiots try to tear you down, and that must take a lot of strength to not lose your cool over it. Like I read the comment that person made and I got mad. I'm like, who like, and then I had to realize like that's what they want. And it must be hard because I've dealt with negative stuff on social media, and I would react a certain way until I realized like, bro, these guys aren't worth my time. And me getting mad and getting frustrated over it is giving them the power that they wanted, and they win. And I don't know how you navigate through that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think probably years of uh, jujitsu and Muay Thai and stuff has kind of helped me. Like I, I try to be a pretty calm person. So um, I know that those people wouldn't say that stuff to my face, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
um, and I know they're probably wanting a reaction. Um, I mean, there's literally bots that are made to just say negative things on certain posts just to have a conversation, just to go back and forth and create this divide. And um, so, I don't know. It's, if I let it get to me, I will spiral. And
Yeah.
I'll start trying to find that person, and it's like,
Exactly.
it just, I know that there's no good that's going to come from that. I mean, I don't know. They might kick my ass, but so either way, like nothing good's gonna come from it. Like
Yo.
it's it's just I just try to let it go. Because I know that it's not true, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
if they're saying something that is true, maybe I need to think about some stuff. Maybe I do need to uh, revisit how I'm handling things. But if someone's saying something about me that's not true, what's the point of getting mad at that? What is there to
Yeah.
get mad at? And um, I just kind of laugh it off. I mean, but again, if I think about it, I'll
Stew.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But but I kind of feel sorry for those people,
Yeah.
um, because if they are a real person and they're saying things like that, those people are struggling. Like something happened in their life to make them even want to say things like that.
Yeah.
And I truly do feel bad for those people. But at the same time, I reached out to that person and invited them to come out to the walk, just, to see, if they still felt that way, like after talking to me.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
um, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If they come out and they still feel that way about me, then whatever,
Yeah.
they can't be helped. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I don't gain anything from reacting negatively. If anything, it hurts.
Yeah.
It messes with me, and I think about it nonstop, and it'll ruin my whole day. And I'm like, I don't even know who this person is, and they just ruined
Yeah.
my whole day. Or I'm
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
it's pointless. So, but yeah, I think that martial arts helped me quite a bit,
Yeah.
um, and because I don't really feel like I have something to prove.
Yeah.
I'm fine. It's whatever. Like, say what you want. It's fine. Just don't talk shit about my kids.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where I really draw the line. You can say whatever about me, but just leave my kids out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on a positive note, what do you do for fun, man? Like, what do you do to unwind, and what do you do to chill with your family, and like what kind of stuff makes you happy?
Well, the thing that makes me the happiest is just being a dad, getting to be a dad. Um, I really do find so much joy in that, and I feel so accomplished, and I think just being with my kids is fun to me. I mean, I do like to hike sometimes, um, but for the most part, I don't do much. I like coming home from work and just being here with my kids and drawing with them, or just anything. Anything with them is what I, you know, there's a lot of joy in that for me. Um, but yeah, I'm a pretty simple person, I think. I have a lot of hobbies that I kind of do once and then don't do again. So so yeah, but if I if I start doing other things, I'm just like, I started surfing. I started just, I mean, that's kind of how the whole martial arts thing started, and then I just become obsessed with it. So I'm like, okay,
Same. Yeah.
yeah, I just want to focus on my kids, and and that's the biggest joy for me for sure.
Nice. Well, man, we've been going for about hour and 20 minutes, and I definitely learned a lot tonight, and I definitely already know how I can implement things from our conversation in my parenting. So, like I
Yeah,
said, that's a dub for me, man. That's a dub for
yeah,
me. And
for sure.
I appreciate you coming on my show and being open and like tearing down that wall and talking
Yeah,
freely. I think that's what we got to do now, and who knows, somebody watching this could be impacted in a great way. um so where can people find you social media, and if they were to reach out to get help, like what could they do?
yeah. I'm on Instagram. It's star0703 STARR. That's where I interact with most everyone. I am on Facebook too, so you can find me on there, just under my name. Um, but I don't know why I just gravitated towards Instagram, but truly, if someone wants to talk to me, just reach out to me. I mean it when I say I have hundreds of DMs from people, that I do my very best to answer every single one of them. Um, and it's worked for me. It's definitely, been a way for people to get a hold of me, and they do. And I feel like if people don't have Instagram, they have Facebook, so that seems to be the
Yeah.
biggest platforms that people use. And um, yeah, and if they don't have those, um, I'll give them my number. Like I want to be available to people if they really need me, and I want to be able to get them the help that they need.
That's awesome. And I think what you're doing is admirable. I think
Let it out, bro.
bro, I think you're a fucking hero, bro. Uh, I can't imagine what you had to go through, and you're a fucking hero. And I think you're a real man. And I think you're the aloha that makes a change in this world. And I think you honor your daughter. Fuck. I didn't see that coming, bro.
No, bro, I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I can't bring Sienna back, but I can keep her memory alive. And you know, I could have turned anything else, and it probably would have been, uh, it probably would have been okay. People would have understood. Um, but I just want to help people. Like I tell my girlfriend all the time, like I truly care about. Like I feel their pain when people come to join me or whatever, and um, I really do feel that. And I'm telling you, it is the worst feeling in the world to lose your child when you're we're supposed to protect them, right? Like, and man, it happened in 2019, and I still, oh, it's hard. It's hard. There's days where I just break down, and it just sucks, man. I still relive those moments. Um, that night, um, I don't know. There's a lot of feelings attached to it, obviously, and this is a bit dark for some people, but Sienna recorded her taking her own life,
Oh,
and and um and I watched that because I wanted to see if she said anything, or if I could have done more, or she gave reasons, or um so when I say this means the world to me, helping other people, like I, I've done everything possible to try to help other people not experience this. I I don't know. To me, losing a child is the most horrible thing a parent will ever go through, and it is the only thing that I fear now. I don't. Nothing scares me anymore. Maybe my girlfriend's driving, but I nothing scares me, man. I just, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, like, I've become numb to everything, and it's like when I add Coco Head to this walk, I'm like, I just want to feel something other than sadness. And
that'll do
you know
it.
that, yeah, yeah. So it's like I just want to, I want to be challenged because there's times where my biggest challenge is just staying alive. Um, so I want to feel something different, and that's why I push myself. And um, I'm just, I really just want to help people as long as I can. I don't know how much time I have on Earth. None of us do, but I just want to truly, I want to do whatever I can to prevent loss to suicide, or uh, I just want to be that person for someone that when I want to be known as Sienna's dad, or the guy that just walks around trying to save people's lives. Like, if I were to die today, I would be pretty damn content with the impact that I've had, you know. Uh, and I think that's a life, worth living. Uh, so, I'm just, like I said, I'm doing this to try to help people. I want to get them through the hard times because I know what the hard times are. Uh, I not only know what it's like to lose a child, but I know what it's like to want to end your own life. So I connect with these people on a very deep level. Uh, and this island has changed my life uh, for the better. It brings me so much joy just to get to live here. And I've only been shown all the love from people here since I got here. And that's those things, those little things, just people being nice and accepting me, and not telling me to go back home. Like those things are like those things are special. Those are the W's. Those are like,
Yep.
those things are important. And I've felt so much love from not only this island, but the people that call it home, and have called it home for their entire lives. Like I love the people here. I and I know that there's a need for it. There's a need for the kids here to be helped, and adults too, right? Um, and so I feel like this is my calling. It's just to help people. Um, and it's there's times where it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. The week of the walk, it's a lot to hear all these stories of sadness and loss.
Yeah.
And, it's 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 overwhelming at times,
Yeah.
and I feel myself getting deeper and deeper into this depression. But then there's stories of good. There's success stories, and that I've always said, if I could save one person, it's worth it. I'd walk 1,000 miles to save one person. I mean that.
Yep.
Um,
You did that. You're doing that.
yeah, so
Breaking your legs and everything.
yeah, but it's worth it, man. I just want to give back to the world,
Yeah,
um, and in doing so, my kids see that, and I hope that they feel the same.
definitely.
So, and I feel like I'm being a good parent by, being a good example. Um,
Definitely.
so I'll just keep doing that.
And it's like
So,
the story of the starfish, right? I'm sure you heard that. The beach is full of starfish and that are beached, and the boys throwing them back in the water, and old man comes up to me and said, "Why are you doing that? There's so many of them. It's not gonna make a difference." And the boy holds up one starfish, and he said, "It's gonna make a difference for this one," and he throws it back in.
yeah, yeah,
That's all that
you
matters,
know, the,
bro.
yeah, it is like, what, I think, um, if I could have done this sooner when I still had Sienna, I maybe she'd still be here, and I don't know why Sienna took her own life. I have no idea. She never said anything about it or really showed any signs. So there's a part of me that doesn't have that closure.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what keeps me going, you know. I don't really have anything to blame it on. Um, so, you know, Sienna made everyone feel loved. Everywhere we went, it didn't matter. Complete strangers. I want to tell the story real quick. We went to New York City, and I told her, I said, hey, people aren't quite as friendly in the subways in New York as they are in the small town of Arkansas where we live. So maybe just, you know, some people don't want to be talked to. And we were on the train, and she was looking at this woman, and I knew, I just knew it was coming. And she told the woman, she said, I really like your hair. And that woman just looked at her and smiled so big. And she, you know, like just those little things is like, they're just so important and have such a positive impact, you know. So that's, like I've said it before, I want to be more like Sienna, you know, like, and so that's what I'm trying to do, you know. I know that she would, I know she'd be proud of me. I know she is proud of
Definitely.
me. And you know, I don't think you can ever do too much good, you know.
Yep.
I mean, and it's not about hoping to get good karma, you know. I just want to make people feel loved.
Well, I think you are, man, and I think like I said, bro, her legacy is living through you, and
Yeah,
um you'll be with her again
yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure, man. Yeah,
Yep.
I
All right,
appreciate this.
man.
I do. Yeah,
I do too, bro.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to break down, but
No,
I didn't
hey,
see it
listen,
coming.
let me say this.
Yeah.
I don't ever, don't ever apologize for crying. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of people do that. They'll stop and say, "I'm sorry." It's all right. You know, but you can cry. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's part of life. So don't apologize. Just be you, be your authentic self, and you know, it's okay to be vulnerable.
Well, I appreciate you for coming on and taking time out of your night, and
Yeah, man.
like I said, bro, you're the beacon of aloha that changes the world, and
Yeah,
that's big. And I think what you're
thank
doing is
you.
only gonna grow. Um, I think your next walk, I'll make it out there for at least one leg. There's no way I could do the whole perimeter, but I'll come walk with you, bro. You have my word. I'll come
Yeah,
check you
man.
out. And
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. Let's see. Shakas for the cameras. All right, man. We're out. Shout out to the Artist Group Network. Aloha.